Hello and welcome to Everybody Pulls the Tarp. I'm your host, Andrew Moses. My guest today, Amanda Goetz, the founder of the fast-growing House of Wise and the part-time chief marketing officer at Teal. Welcome to the show, Amanda.
Hey, thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. There is so much I want to talk to you about, Amanda. You and I were supposed to record this, I think, a month or so ago. Then I got sick with COVID. But so much has happened, so it's almost better that we had to move it. Your business, House of Wise, is off and running. Let's start by talking about House of Wise. You made a huge career pivot. You left the Knot, one of the global leaders. You had a global VP of marketing role. You were running everything from a brand perspective, and you pivoted from a career standpoint, and you decided to launch House of Wise. First off, I won't do it justice. Tell the audience what House of Wise is.
So House of Wise is a community of women selling luxury CBD products, but the mission is to help women take control of their sleep, sex, stress, and wealth. So it's not an MLM. I'm just treating real women like micro affiliates. But the cool thing about this is we're creating a community of women who want to be seen as a whole person. Like they want to be able to talk about the struggles that they have with stress and work and life and motherhood and sex. And we are creating a safe space to say, it's okay if you need help, let's talk about it. And so, yeah, we launched December 1st.
I know, and it was a big launch, and we've all been watching on social media. It's been fantastic to see the response. So talk about, though, that moment that you thought about leaving the Knot, leaving kind of that stable, organization where you have structure and processes and a team around you that you were leading. How did you go through that thought process? Say, hey, I'm going to leave this and start House of Wise and make it a reality.
There's this awesome children's book called What Do You Do with an Idea? And it's all about this idea that this kid has, and it's like a little egg, and then he tries to ignore the idea, and then the egg keeps following him around and he doesn't know what to do with it, and then all of a sudden he gives it a little attention, and then it grows and it grows. That's kind of symbolic of how House of Wise was. I was a founder before I went to the Knot. I had a wedding tech company, and I left, I did that for a few years. I had my first baby while I was building that company, and the founder of the Knot brought me from that company into the Knot to lead brand. And I remember saying to my friends, I will never start another company again. This is my place. I know I need kind of the stability and comfort of a bigger team and an organization. Then I had an idea. So what happened was I was navigating a divorce with 3 kids under the age of 5. And my company and my career was really at the height that could be. The Knot was being acquired by a private equity company. We were about to merge with our biggest competitor. I was on that transition team. And there were days that I was going from a courtroom to a boardroom or a CBS Good Morning, media appearance. And I had never touched anything for stress or anxiety, but because of everything I was dealing with, I needed help. And so I started researching, and I turned to cannabis, and it helped me immensely. And I felt so guilty about it, and I didn't want to tell anyone. And then what happened was, as I slowly told people about what I was experiencing and how CBD or microdosing THC was helping me, they were like, oh, you're still, having a career and being a great mom, and they saw that it was I'm not just a stoner, hanging out all day. I still am getting a lot done. And so people started to ask me how I did it and what I was doing. And over time, I realized I was just becoming a massive ambassador for all these CBD companies. And I'm like, there's something here. People still don't know who to trust in the cannabis world, because after the Farm Bill happened, it's 1,000 companies popped up and no one knew, and there's no regulation. And so I slowly started to think about it. And then eventually I was like, I couldn't ignore it any longer. And I talked to enough people that they were like, there's an opportunity here, you should do it. And so enough people gave me kind of the nod. And so then I quit my job and started the company.
So you quit your job, you start the company, but you're doing something else that's really interesting that I think people will find unique. You're also the part-time chief marketing officer at Teal. So how did you go about saying, I'm going to kind of structure the next phase of my professional life, being a founder and trying to build something myself, and I'm going to, get some part-time work, be a half-time CMO. Did you know that was possible, a framework like that?
I did not, to be very honest. And it was more, I was thinking about what I wanted my life to look like and how I could get there. And I happened to meet Dave Fano during the summer of COVID, where everybody was doing virtual meetings, and I did a master class on marketing for them. And I was like entranced by this community. So Teal helps people take control of their careers. Like, all companies have HR departments, but no one has kind of their own personal HR department that's like helping to make sure that they're know how to, what is the next step in your career? And if someone asks you that and you're like, I don't know, what is the process to figure that out? And then what is the plan to get there? And that's what we're building at Teal. And I felt like that was very powerful, and it was in line with my like larger mission in life, which is helping people to feel in control and in the driver's seat of their own life. Like, everything I do for the first, all of my 20s, I felt like I was not in control of my life. I felt like I was in a passenger seat. And so when I hit 30, I became very aware that is a change that I want to make. So with Dave, met him, we were talking. He was asking me if I wanted to be an advisor to Teal because they were growing, but they needed someone to help with brand and positioning. And I was like, I'm going to throw this out there. Rather than me be an advisor, what if you had me 2.5 days a week? And I was all in, rather than just being a consultant. I'm in team meetings. I'm, sorry about that. And we talked about it, and he was like, let's do it. So we had to be very clear on what the roles, expectations were, and also pay very close attention to how it affects the culture. But I'm not the only person that's doing part-time. He has a part-time head of engineering and user researcher. So he's kind of creating this like new culture, which it's working. It's incredible. So,
I mean, did at this point he knew that you were launching House of Wise?
Yes, very clear and upfront. And I was very open about that at the Knot as well. Like, I raised my pre-seed capital while being at the Knot, and I did it very publicly. And the only way you can do that stuff is if you're open and honest and transparent with your boss in the beginning. And sometimes in your career, you hit these points where the current role you're in no longer grows you or pushes you. You feel like you're kind of like hit a good kind of milestone. And I was just managing at that point. The team was like, I had built an incredible team, and my job was just to be like bowling alley bumper pads, like make sure that they don't go in the gutter and like keep them going, remove roadblocks, etc. And I was ready for to build again. And I love the 0 to 1. Like, there's something about that is so fun to me. And when I first joined the Knot, I was like building products. I was, building the consumer marketing team from the ground up. Like, we had 0 marketers. And when I left, it was like over 30. Like I was building, and I felt like an entrepreneur within a larger organization. And then we were a huge company. And so I made it very clear that was something I wanted to go after. And then it was just all about transparency. At some point, there becomes a tipping point where you are ready to go and devote more time to it. And so same with Dave, like, there will be a time where he needs a full-time CMO, whether it's after the Series A and I help replace myself, or House of Wise requires way more of my time if I raise the next round of capital and that's where I want to go. We are very open and honest about whichever one comes first. We're going to keep each other posted, and we're going to prepare for it and make sure that both companies are set up for success.
So let's dig more into everything that you've got going on, because there's so much to unpack in the next little bit here.
Yeah.
One of the things about being a founder and being an entrepreneur, I think people look from afar. They look on social media and they say, oh, it looks fun, it's sexy, it looks like it must be easy, and it all comes really. But once you're behind the scenes, behind the curtain, it surely is not. And when you're in the founder seat, I call this show "Everybody Pulls the Tarp." You and I have talked about this mantra that I believe that great teams and great organizations are powered by individuals who contribute in unexpected ways. They do things far outside the boundaries of their job description. Essentially, they throw the job description away and say, "I'm going to do whatever needs to be done." Never truer for a founder, entrepreneur who's starting up a business. I think in the last few weeks, I saw you, using your garage as a warehouse for product and shipping materials. Taking things, what looked like thousands of boxes to the post office. Talk about some of the things, the tarp pulling that you have to do as a founder, and what that experience is like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a traditional founder. I don't have this like crazy amount of VC capital that I can hire people right now, right? So there's that. But then the other piece of it is, I believe that it's important for me to know how to do all the different functions within the organization for two reasons. One, for empathy. So that way I know if I hire somebody, I can be empathetic to that role because I know all the things that go into it. And two, so I can hire the right person for that role and know what questions to ask. I have been a brand marketer for tech companies my whole life for the most part. And this is the first true e-commerce D2C experience. And so supply chain management is a massive gap in my skill set. And so first and foremost, I have great investors who are coaching me along the way and mentors. But second, I interviewed every co-packer, every, contract manufacturer, did all the RFPs. I'm overseeing how to create all the mailer boxes and cartons and where do they come from? And should we source bottles from China? What is the difference? Like all the things that go into it. And now I can hire someone to come in and own that for me. But I have empathy for like shit happens. And I'm not going to be mad about that. I'm going to say, okay, let's figure out how we can fix this, how we can look at margins, how we can really approach the supply chain in a smart way, but also being empathetic to the fact that like things have happened to me that were outside my control and I was staying on top of it. And so there are things that you just like can't even expect. And so, yeah, so I am overseeing, like I'm in the DMs, like responding to everybody on social, to like, packing the boxes and hiring neighborhood moms to come and help me. And I take them to UPS. And when there's a customer service issue, like I'm issuing like a refund if somebody wants that, or if they didn't get what they wanted or whatever, like I'm on top of that all and in Shopify and building the Klaviyo, newsletters. So you name it, I'm kind of doing it right now. And then the hope is I can now have empathy and start to hire people for the right roles that would help me grow.
That's interesting. The immersion and being essentially forced, or at least saying, I'm going to take responsibility for all of this up front, is going to give you this crash course education that's going to make you a better hire, make you a better recruiter of talent, and put you in the best possible position to lead those folks. There's something really interesting there.
I think, look, you can have speed to entry or speed to growth. And speed to entry is like you're going to hire a bunch of people and get there faster. And you're probably, that 0 to 1 is going to happen a lot faster. But speed to growth is like, if I have to fire somebody because they weren't cutting out or I hired the wrong role in the beginning, like that stuff slows you down from 1 to 2. And so I just believe that like work all the kinks out in 0 to 1. And then once you've got that figured out, you know how to build the right team and you can grow faster in the 1 to 2 or 1 to 100.
What given all of your experience and having been a founder before, worked at a company as it was scaling to a large business, what has surprised you the most in the early goings about this phase of founderhood and this business?
Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm surprised every single day. Honestly, this industry, cannabis industry specifically, it is so surprising how much red tape there is. And you have to truly like network, know people. Like you can wake up one day and your bank drops you just because all of a sudden they're like, oh, it's an MRB and we no longer support MRBs, marijuana related business. And so I think this industry specifically, like CBD has now been legalized since 2018. We are like, CBD is kind of everywhere. And yet it took me so long to get a payment processor and so long to figure that out. And, you know, Shopify supports Stripe, but Stripe doesn't support MRBs. And so you can't use Stripe. So you have to use Square, but Square doesn't, like, it's so confusing. And yet alcohol, which is arguably sometimes worse for people, you can literally like do whatever you need to do and start an alcohol company. So I just think that there's a lot of stigma still, and that's surprising to me. There's a lot of red tape that we're going to have to continue to push the industry forward.
So there's so much going on, right? I mean, you and I have talked about the fact that I've got 2 kids at home going to school. You've got 3 kids at home going to school. You're balancing the Teal part-time, all the responsibilities that we just described with House of Wise. Let's talk about the mechanics of getting it done and leading through it and navigating it a bit. I've heard you say that you don't believe in balance because you believe that balance means that there's, you know, you're compartmentalizing everything and you're separating all these aspects of your life, and you're much more open-minded about integrating your life. Like I, for example, say there's not really such a thing as work-life balance in my world. There's work-life integration. Talk about that and how you view that for a moment, how you get it all done.
Yeah, I definitely don't believe in balance. Like I believe in intention, and with intention removes guilt. So what do I mean by that? I mean, there are days that I wake up and I look at my calendar and I say, wow, I'm going to work really hard today. Like I have a block of time that I'm going to be on offense. I'm going to be churning out a deck, or I need to do other things. I have meetings in the afternoon. And by the end of that day, I'm probably going to be a little dead. And so my kids will probably get like the happy mom, but the mom that's probably going to like make mac and cheese, turn on Daniel Tiger and cuddle them and not be on my hands and knees and playing with them. And that intentionality to say today is a work first, going to crank out, I'm going to be kick ass at work. And then probably like kids will be this next phase and probably like not my full priority that day. Having that intentionality makes me feel less guilty. Then there are also days that I wake up and I say, I look at my calendar and I'm like, I'm going to take my daughter on a mommy Lincoln date and we're going to go in the morning and go do something. And I'm going to come back and then I'm going to work out. And then I'm going to do a couple of meetings and that's it. That intentionality says, okay, I'm not going to feel guilty that my inbox is stacking up. I knew that was going to happen. And for me, it's like you can never get everything done in a day. Randy Zuckerberg has this amazing book called, I think, Pick 3, where you can only do like 3 things well in a day. And I subscribe to that. It's like, today I'm going to make sure that I take care of myself. I need a workout. I'm feeling stressed. I need to get that in. I'm going to prioritize that above getting this deck done or whatever. But it's all about intentionality and actually bringing that to the forefront of your mind, writing it down, whatever you need to do to say, that is my intention for the day. And I will not feel guilty for other things that don't get done.
So once you've set the intention and you've kind of moved the guilt aside, mitigated the guilt, what's your strategy for getting it done? Do you say, I'm only going to focus on this right now and I'm going to try and eliminate any distraction and noise and I'm going to power hour through this and then I'm going to take a break to reward myself when I get done with? Do you say I want to get from point A to point B, or I just want to work an hour? What's the Amanda Goetz approach to that?
Yeah, great question. So the way I think about it is, I mean, I've read a lot of books on efficiency. Like I love being efficient with my time and I feel like I get a lot of work done in short amounts of time. So the way I think about it is every night before I go to bed, I have 2 things that I want to move forward, which I call offense. Like I was a basketball player my whole life. So that is my offense time. Those are projects that will make something in my life better, or the company will move forward because of it. So right now, 2 big things are R&D for our next product And so writing a brief on that, and then my seed round deck. So those are two things that I woke up this morning and said, I am not going to look at anything else until I get those to a good place. And for me, I time box it to about 2 hours because that's how long our brains can go really without needing a break. And so for 2 hours, I crank on those two things and get them going. Then I take a break. And then now it's time for defense, which is usually all the notifications and podcasts or emails, meetings, etc. But I don't look at that stuff until I've been selfish and gotten the things that will help move the needle on things that matter to me.
Well, there's a difference, right? I mean, some would say it's selfish. You might call it productive, right? You're focused and productive. I like that offense defense concept. Amanda, you've got this tremendous work ethic and this outstanding drive. I want to go back a bit. You once told me a story that when you were younger, your dad was the local plumber and electrician for the town that you grew up in. And you're a first generation college grad from a small town in Illinois. And you talk about those childhood experiences and the influence that they have on you. Talk about that. I know you used to ride along and tag along with your dad at some of his plumbing and electrical jobs. What did that show you about life, about your career, and how did that at all impact the way you approach things?
Yeah, so many things. And yes, I can do the duct work in a house and fix your toilet. I can do all those things. But first and foremost, so my dad had a crazy childhood. He lived out of his car for his senior year of high school and then started this company and was able to then build it to provide for a family and put us through college and give us the childhood that he didn't have. And it proved to me that nothing, it does not matter where you come from, that if you work hard and if you're good to people and you produce and you just give great service and you just care about the humans that you're working with, you will get to the point that you want to get to. So that was instilled into me at a very young age. The second thing is, I feel like I'm a very good judge of character because of just observing how people treated my dad. So when you are riding along, your dad is a plumber, a serviceman. Going into someone's house, you immediately see how they react to him. There are people that are like, you can't use our front door, you have to go to the back. Or people that, will literally talk down to him and treat him like he is a lesser person. And to me, as a young girl, that is my dad. That is literally the person on a pedestal for me. And to see people treat him like he was not this amazing human that I knew he was just so hurtful. But also it just I could see people have those interactions. But then there are people on the other end of the spectrum who treated him, made sure that he had glasses of water, provided food or cookies or whatever, and were so hospitable to someone coming into their home to help them. And I watch that now, whether you're going on a date to, potentially working with someone, how they interact with people that they may not feel will get them to that next step. How do they treat them? How do you treat your doorman if you live in New York City? How do you have conversations with them? Do you know that they have kids? And now I think about that with investors. How do they talk about founders in their portfolios? Do they know their life? Do they know what they're going through? Do they know them as humans? And so those things are really, really important to me and are really foundational to everything that I do.
Amanda, you're so authentic, right? Authenticity just, oozes out of you and out of the brands that you shepherd. I think there's a lot to that, right? That you're so observant about how people behave and how they interact with one another. And it speaks to your ability to engage and connect. When you think about those experiences and you think about yourself as a leader, obviously it will influence your hiring decisions like you described. As the business, hopefully, I think it's going to scale mightily. How do you maintain that humbleness, that authenticity, that level of engagement? Because there might come a point where this business is so big that Amanda Goetz, CEO founder, can't respond to every DM in Instagram. How do you think about that? Do you worry about that when it happens? How do you stay authentic, stay engaged, stay connected, even as something scales?
It's a really good question. Like I just got on Twitter a year ago, and now I'm realizing, like, for my own sanity, like I can't respond to every reply because that would require me to be on Twitter for more hours than I'm capable or that I want to, because it comes at the detriment of other things. But to answer your question about like connecting with humans, I think first and foremost, as a company grows, you think about like that first team. If you've ever read the habits of, what is it?
The 5 dysfunctions of a team, or the 7 habits of highly effective team, something like that, right?
Functions of a team is the one I was thinking of.
I think it's Patrick Lencioni.
Thank you. Yes, no, you got it. And so the first team concept is all around the people that are your peers and setting the tone and making sure that those people are aligned on culture, on mission, and values. And so for me, I may not be scalable to talk to every single person that I hire and connect with, but I will make it a point to make sure that I know everybody's situation and be available to them. That's first and foremost. But second of all, I think being authentic or vulnerable is what I kind of equate those two things. I think what makes me feel, quote unquote authentic, is that I'm willing to put myself out there and not care what people think. But what happens is when I put myself out there, it allows someone to connect to something. Because usually when you're telling a story, it's less about you and more about how that person is relating to it and what experiences that person has and how they're connecting to it and feel about it. And so when I was managing a large team, I made sure that the people that were immediately reporting to me all shared those mission and values. It doesn't mean that they have to go out and tell everybody their life story, but they have to create a culture where someone could feel comfortable sharing what they're struggling with or what they're going through. And so there are ways to do that in feedback culture and just like ways to create culture within a community. But I think that that's important, but I do worry about it. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I hate, like, it does eat at me that I can't, if someone DMs me an authentic, like a very sweet message, it kills me that it takes me like a few weeks to sometimes like respond and say thank you. And so I try to like tweet sometimes to be like I'm so appreciative of everybody in this community, but it is hard. I don't know if someone out there has like figured this out, let me know, because I have not.
Well, Amanda, you're figuring out a ton, that's for sure. So congratulations on all the success. I could sit here and talk to you about this for hours. We'll have to do a part 2 and check in on House of Wise in 6 months or 12 months. Before I let you go, where can people get more information about House of Wise?
Follow us on Instagram, because you can buy from a wise woman and support her in her endeavors. Or you can go to houseofwise.co. Or follow me on Twitter every day. I kind of shout out a different wise woman.
Excellent. Amanda, this has been so much fun. Good luck with everything and keep pulling the tarp.
Thank you, Andrew.